As a kid, motor racing was always at the forefront. Being at racetracks, watching my dad, that really was what it was all about.
Scott Dixon wins the 2015 championship.
That's all we ever do, right? We're in the business of winning. If I'm not winning, I'm going to be out of a job before I know it.
Scott Dixon takes the lead of this championship.
The chances of pulling it off in the competition that we have right now is tough. It's extremely tough.
Where will they come out?
Oh, no!
Dixon's in the middle of that. This could be the defining moment in the championship.
You're just thinking, wow, we can't let this one slip away. And that's what kept me up at night. You know, this was by far the most stressful championship finale I'd ever been in.
We witnessed something that hasn't been done in more than half a century. Scott Dixon is a 5-time IndyCar champion.
Only one person has ever done it, and to fall into that category and be the second person to ever do it, it's mega. It's awesome. I don't know, for me, this just signifies so much work and from so many people. It's you know, I'm one of the lucky ones that gets to kiss this along with the whole team. As a young kid, for sure, you know, I thought, you think anything's possible. And, you know, as I grew up and probably 16, 17, 18, did I ever think this was possible? No, you know, I didn't, you know, and to be here now celebrating our 5th championship, it's crazy, crazy. Accomplishment, that's what it is, you know, and to be able to have the opportunity to try and go for one of these is insane, but to now have 5, I feel very lucky, very privileged, and yeah, it's cool, very cool. As a kid, motor racing was always at the forefront. You know, my dad was into it. You know, I remember being at racetracks, watching my dad, watching his friends race, being in the garage during the week and walking downstairs, and he'd be working on the car, getting it ready, and you know, being at another race. You know, so for me, that really was what it was all about. Mum and Dad, you know, owned a speedway in Townsville. Those are kind of my earliest memories of, you know, on weekends after the race was me on my little motorbike, probably at the age of 4 or 5, and going under the grandstands and trying to find money that had fallen out of people's pockets, you know, from the night before. We finally moved from Australia back to New Zealand, you know, where all my family are from, and went and watched my cousins race go-karts at Mount Wellington Go-Kart Club, you know, just out of Auckland, and that's what it took. And for me, it was just, you know, getting in this thing and this machine and driving it around. Like, I'd been on kind of little motorbikes and stuff before, but, you know, the power of this go-kart and the speed you could go and you know, you turn left and right and going around this track was just like nothing else I'd ever had before. And that was when I caught the bug. Go-karting went from 7 to, you know, 13, finally made it to juniors. But Dad was, you know, he's like, well, we should try circuit racing. The first year in Formula V at the age of 13, you know, we were kind of sort of dipping our toes in it, but ended up winning a ton of races, won the championship in the first year. So Dad's like, well, we've got to move up to the next category, which was a big jump, you know, to Formula Ford, and won the championship, moved to Australia at the age of 16, which was definitely daunting, you know, for me to move to a different country at that age, and, you know, didn't have Mum to do my laundry or, you know, make my meals. So it was definitely an experience, and probably saw a few too many things I shouldn't have at that age, but you know, it was still learning, and it was really accelerated. And then going on to win Formula Holden, the Australian Drivers' Championship in 1998, I believe. Each year of junior categories, it was kind of like, okay, we got through this one. I don't know how we're going to get to the next. You know, the budgets go up, it gets more expensive, you know, and then you really think that the achievable is maybe not so achievable. The Scott Dixon Motorsport Company was, you know, was kind of initiated by my dad, and this kind of expanded into a group of about 13 to 15 investors, and that's what it was. We, you know, basically sold shares in Scott Dixon Motorsport, because my parents financially were done. They couldn't afford it. They'd, you know, mortgaged their house 10 times too many, and, you know, we needed this next level. And yeah, without them, it would have been, you know, probably never happened. Coming from New Zealand, I think, you know, the you know, mentality or even, you know, what you saw on TV was you know, mostly European. You know, so Formula One, that for me was the direction. But then, like anything, right? Once you start watching Formula One, then, you know, I started watching Indianapolis 500, started watching IndyCar. You know, it was in 1997, I think I went to my first IndyCar race in Vancouver, and that had me hooked. It just sucked me in, big time. Kenny Smith is like the New Zealand racing legend. You know, he's won the New Zealand Grand Prix, I don't know how many times, 5 times or something. But he was through the era of racing Graham Hill, Bruce McLaren, Denny Hulme, and beating, you know, the biggest names in you know, Jim Clark even, you know, and Sir Jackie Stewart. So he was very big in his own right, very accomplished, but he wanted to help. He's always been so amazing in helping young talent come through, and not just myself. It was actually the last part of 1998, and Kenny's like, oh, you know, I know this guy, you know, Vern Schuppen, and you know, he runs a team with Stefan Johansson and Indy Lights, and we know there's a big test going on. It was like a preseason test before the '99 season, and had an amazing test. I think we were the quickest out of, you know, 18, 20 plus cars. And Vern and Stefan were able to come up with, you know, a deal that enabled us to run, you know, the 1999 season in Indy Lights, which, you know, is what started the American campaign. And a lot of things, you know, were different style of racing. It's the first time I'd ever seen an oval, you know, and really it didn't really click. You know, we were fast, but I crashed quite a bit. You know, found the limit too many times. But yeah, that season, I think we had 1 race victory. I think it was at Chicago at the Cicero track.
He kind of almost looked to me like a mini Paul Tracy. You know, he had that same build and that same, you know, I guess fire that Paul had. And then he came back the following season, and he'd lost, I don't know how much weight he lost, but he's a completely different person.
That was really my jump into the 2000 season with being able to join, you know, Pac West.
Scott Dixon starts the brand new campaign with the victory. The checkers are in sight, and Dixon is a hearty 2 for 2. Scott Dixon has done it again. The checkers will greet him as he crosses under the bridge.
Number 5, way to go.
A storybook year. I think we won 6 races and went on to win the championship, which was very, very special. We knew kind of, or hoping for, that the next big move would be kart at the time. And luckily, you know, the situation, you know, worked out.
And then he started racing in the big cars. I remember banging wheels with him at, I think, the first test. I thought, who is this kid?
It was a huge jump those days, you know, going from Indy Lights to an IndyCar. It was like nothing else, but what a rush. You know, the first 20 laps in one of those things was complete craziness. I think we won the fourth race at Nazareth.
Scott Dixon, the rookie, becomes the 46th driver to win in kart.
I think for me, it just felt like we'd finally made it to a point of you know, where we could feel like we achieved something big, something really big, you know, and to be in that position at such a young age, that's when I think I knew, well, you know, we could actually do this. So 2002 season, you know, everything looked promising. You know, Bruce McCore and Pac West, you know, the team was going through some difficulties, but you know, nothing we ever thought were, you know, an exception. But yeah, 3rd race in of the season, you know, the team folds up, it's done. For us, it meant a lot of uncertainties. You know, the season at that point, all the drives are filled, right? So Toyota was a huge help at that point for them to initiate, you know, my move to Ganassi. That really switched my career into a different direction and enabled me to join one of the biggest and greatest teams of IndyCar history.
I really wasn't focused, you know, on young drivers coming along maybe as much as I should have been. But I do remember someone saying, hey, this guy, Scott Dixon, you got to keep your eye on him. And I remember thinking to myself, I couldn't point him out in a lineup if I had to.
I remember the first meeting with Chip and how tough it was, and how I was like, wow, it's going to be really hard to drive for this team. You know, I always knew of Chip. I knew he was a big deal. I knew his team was one of the greatest teams.
I knew he was somewhat intimidated. And he just kept saying, I mean, he basically had two answers for me the whole day. Yes and okay. You know, and everything, I'd go into these big, long explanations of things, and he'd say, okay.
I was a little out of my comfort zone in that situation.
I said, you know, do you want to drive for us? He said, okay. And I said, okay, and that was that. I mean, when the meeting was over, I remember walking away thinking, I need to do a little homework on how to communicate with these young guys coming along.
First race, 2002 with Ganassi. It went quite well. You know, I think I qualified fourth. You know, I remember they had to come and find me for qualifying because I was still sleeping in the truck, which they thought was very strange.
That didn't really bother me because I remember we had another great driver, Emerson Fittipaldi, and he used to fall asleep sitting in the car, you know, during practice at the Indianapolis 500. So I think it was perfectly normal to relax.
There is Scott Dixon, winner of the Rookie of the Year award, now in his second season, switching over from PWR Racing, now with perhaps the strongest team in the pit lane, Target Chip Ganassi Racing.
Qualified fourth. I think we were running second. PT, I think, was having a very strong day that day, and unfortunately, I kind of got a little wide in turn 1 and 2, just brushed the wall.
Whoa! Into the corner. Dixon went wide, he got loose, and it almost went into the wall. That was a big save from the young New Zealander.
I think we ended up bringing the car back in 6th or 7th. When I first drove the Ganassi car, I'm like, wow, this car's really nice to drive. It's a little easier than what I've had before. You know, they had a really good car. So that was definitely something that, you know, I really enjoyed. And it started kind of my love for oval racing moving into the 2003 season. And there was a lot of changes, right? You had some teams going from kart to IndyCar, you know, engine manufacturers were moving. The whole picture was changing. But it was also moving to an all-oval series. And for me, you know, I kind of liked them. You know, I was still finding my feet in oval racing.
I think we were all a little hesitant at first, just because we were in uncharted territory for us.
It's a warm, windy March day at Homestead Miami Speedway, and it is time to go Indy racing.
First race, qualified not so great, maybe, you know, 15th or something around there. And yeah, we ended up carving through the field, racing Gilles de Ferran in the last pit stop.
And Scott Dixon is the first of the leaders to get to his pit stop. 10-foot of fuel hose connection to 35 gallons of methanol. He is off and away, and now the key is at 60 miles an hour. Can he beat this man, Gary? And Dixon beats de Ferran out.
Get him in the last pit stop, check out, man, and we win our first race of the 2003 season.
Scott Dixon wins in Miami, 22 years old.
Good job, everybody. That was great. Good pit stops, man. We did it.
Chip calling me and saying, dude, that was big, man. That was big. This is big. It's going to be a good season.
Were we going to be competitive? Was everything going to be okay? And we had to make some tough decisions there, and there was a lot riding on it. It was big. It was damn big. Yeah.
2003 season was unexpected for me in many ways. You know, the success that we had right off the bat in winning the first race at Homestead, you know, to another couple of wins during the season.
Scott Dixon, second win of the season.
Scott Dixon has won again.
You're the new champion, buddy. It's a hell of a job out there. Good day. Thanks, guys. That was awesome. Thank you very much. Awesome.
Coming down to it, you know, to close out that first season in IndyCar and winning the championship my first year with a fully branded Target car was just insane. I guess, you know, put my name in the history books from you know, 2003 onwards. 2008 was, yeah, it was crazy. You know, we really wanted it, and you know, it was a crazy good season. You know, 6 wins, almost 7. I think we almost had 7 for a few seconds before it went to Elio at Chicago.
Go, baby, go!
Dixon with Elio and Briscoe. Who's going to win the race? The race goes
Bring it home!
to Dixon.
Oh my goodness. We're looking at the replay, and Elio knows and beat him across the line. This is going to be overturned.
We had some small ups and downs, but to be honest, you know, to win the Indianapolis 500 and win the championship in 1 year, insane.
They call him the Iceman, but today at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, he is red hot, and he is the winner of the 92nd Indianapolis 500-mile race.
We start out every year wanting to do both of those, and we talk about that often. That's what we're in business to do.
Those are the years you dream of. I got married in February, won the Indy 500 in May, on to win the championship in October. You know, it was one of the best years of my life for sure. The biggest shift was the addition of Dario Franchitti, the big Dario Franchitti, coming back to IndyCar racing.
I'm excited. It was a busy week. I knew leaving Detroit last week that the deal was done. Nobody else did, but I knew what was going on, and it's nice to be back here now with everything announced and focusing on making the next step, getting back in the car, and getting myself fit to do that.
We were at the Detroit Grand Prix, and I said, "Hey, you want to come back and drive these cars?" I said, "Yeah." I said, "Okay." I said, "Here, I wrote on the back of a napkin." I said, "Here's the deal." I said, "Let me know in an hour if you want to do it or not, or I'm going to go find another driver." And he said, "What?" And so that's how Dario ended up coming on the team.
My thought process was, look, and I didn't tell anybody this, I just didn't want to be embarrassed because I'd had a year away. I was going into what was Scott's team, and I just thought, if I can compete without being embarrassed, that'll be reasonable.
It's always hard when you get new teammates, right? You're not sure how the vibe's going to be, how everybody's going to mix, whether you like the same things or not, on the car, and you have to spend a lot of time with these people too, right? I knew we were going to be good friends, but also the competition level starts to kick in too, right? And you don't want to be beat.
With very different driving styles, different ways of going about things, and we learned a lot from each other, really from day one until the last time I drove a car as Scott's teammate. I was still learning stuff from him, and I think he was still learning from me.
To have that, from a friend, but also from a teammate, it changed my career too. It changed my path, it changed my process. On the racing side, but most importantly, for me, he's just my friend. He's my best friend. 2009 was definitely a tough year. Dario, he jumped right back on the horse, man, and he was fast out of the gate. And it was a really well-fought championship. Kind of between three, if I remember right. It was Briscoe, myself, and Dario, and. I think we maybe had a small edge going into, the last race at Homestead. But in typical Dario fashion, went the alternate strategy and made it work perfectly.
Dixon has to make the pit stop with less than 8 laps to go.
Ryan and my cars were very good that day. And didn't really think about the alternate strategy, and bang, Dario comes out, wins the race, wins the championship.
Dario Franchitti wins the Firestone Indy 300 and is the champion for 2009.
There was no letting up, there was no place he struggled at. He worked attention to detail to get everything correct, and he did a stellar job. I thought we were out of the championship kind of almost by midway, and then I think we won 3 races in a period of like 7 or 8 days. It was something insane. '13 was crazy. I thought we were out of the championship, kind of almost by midway.
Clear, let's go. You all right? I got no drive here.
Scott Dixon is awfully slow off of pit road.
There's no, you got no drive? The engine's still running, but nothing else. Scott broke the main shaft.
All of a sudden, an explosion of some sort of liquid that got on 3 or 4 of the crew members.
All right, Scott, we're gonna go back and fix it.
And then I think we won 3 races in a period of like 7 or 8 days. It was something insane.
Checkered flag is out for the 30th time in his career. Scott Dixon gets the win.
The man who was Chip Ganassi's longest tenured driver wins the first one in Toronto. 3 wins in a row and a $100,000 bonus to Scott Dixon.
And we were right back in the game, man. We were ready to go.
Dixon wins his 4th of the year and the first of this Texas doubleheader.
Houston was probably a defining point where we were able to capture the points lead coming out of Houston after a doubleheader, go to the first and the second. I remember having to fight Alio hard for another championship.
Scott Dixon for Target Chip Ganassi Racing is your champion.
That string of races right there, and doubleheaders. I'm a big fan of doubleheaders because without doubleheaders that year, I don't think we would have won the championship. 15 was, I don't know. We gave up so many opportunities, I think, in 15, which made us, going into Sonoma, not really in the game. But that was one of the most enjoyable championship fights I ever had, because we went in thinking pretty much zero possibility. I ended up qualifying 9th, and I'm like, wow, we don't really have a shot. By the first lap, I was in 4th.
It's the Indy Grand Prix of Sonoma. It's the championship decider. It's time to bring the action. Don't tell me the teammates collide. Surely not. Oh, they do. If Dixon wins this race, Montoya needs to finish 6th. And the point margin has gone to 0. The reason why is Dixon and Montoya are in a tiebreaker situation.
And then we went on to win the race.
Scott Dixon not only wins in Sonoma, but wins the 2015 championship.
I actually did feel bad for one, but that was the craziest championship finale I'd ever been involved. I don't know, I just loved that it was so stress-free. There was nothing on the line, really, in my mind, and we come out winning and being on top. We've had 4. This is pretty good, I can't complain. For me, this is amazing. To, run every year, we go for a championship, but the chances of pulling it off in the competition that we have right now is tough. It's extremely tough. And coming into the 18 season, we were feeling strong and ready to fight for another championship. The first 4 races, I think were beyond frustrating for me. We had great speed, and it was kind of when it came to the crunch, in qualifying, we struggled a bit.
Scott Dixon there just locks up the rear a little bit and just touches that landing strip coming into turn 1, and therefore almost loops that around.
He is surprisingly way down in 14th place.
That is a huge disappointment for Dixon.
The car was fast. We knew we had a ton of speed. It was just, getting it when it counted. Indy Grand Prix was super frustrating.
Dixon, well, he's down in 11th position at the moment. Did not improve on that lap.
He is struggling for the moment.
I'm not sure if that's my worst ever qualifying. It's got to be close, but to qualify 18th on a road course, this is going to be a long day unless, a big swing in strategy. But that race, that was a ton of fun, man.
Scott Dixon's getting an awfully good run. He goes to the high side of Robert Wickens to turn 1.
Already cleared him before he got into turn 1. What a launch! Dixon was by Wickens before they even got to the braking marker.
Plus 16 on the day, Anders.
Yeah, just incredible stuff.
For me, when I got done with that race, I'm like, see, this is the speed the car has and the team has. We can definitely make this happen, and we just needed to clean up qualifying. But yeah, the Indy GP was a big turnaround for us.
Thousands have come to see the Detroit Grand Prix. Scott Dixon on the outside of the front row, Andretti leading them down to the start. So there's Andretti, Dixon right behind him. Here he comes. Dixon stays out.
They are well aware that with Scott Dixon staying on the track, this has to be an ultra-fast stop, and your in and out laps are so important.
Okay, we're all set here, Scott. Board's up for you. We're ready for you. We'll have a good stop here.
They know they have an opportunity. Oh, yeah. At 7.1 seconds, he may be able to leapfrog.
Have a good out lap.
That's the difference of 2 seconds in the pits. How about Scott Dixon's crew leapfrogging over Marco Andretti's, and now Dixon, the leader.
We'll use wheel 5 now. Good job there.
Scott Dixon wins the Detroit Grand Prix.
Yes, boys. Well done, well done. Thank you, thank you, thank you. That was awesome.
This is when we started to find our strength again on street courses. It's nice to roll off, that way and hit the track running with some good speed, and we had that all weekend. For me, it was one of the times where I was like, we had a really good car again, and to wind up, coming out of the doubleheader weekend, second in points, was huge.
Texas Motor Speedway is about to ignite the night. Let's get rolling here in Texas. Here we go, Dixon on Pagenaud. Can Scott Dixon get his 3rd win here under the lights at Texas Motor Speedway?
No trouble on the track.
Trouble front straightaway. 2 cars collide.
Ready to go. This is going to be quite the shootout.
Everybody, including Pagenaud, knows this is the chance to get Dixon. Pagenaud needs to make it happen now. Dixon is just cruising with a 5-second lead.
Scott Dixon takes the lead of this championship. He now moves ahead of Michael Andretti and is 3rd on the all-time winners list in the history of IndyCar racing.
Hey, good job, boys.
Good job on the track. Good job on the pits tonight, guys. Go get some cowboy hats.
Everybody loves cowboy hats, man. They're awesome. Like I'm not sure I look very good in one, but you know, Texas is like no other race, and man, the car was just hooked up. Like I think by the second or third stop, we were out front and never looked back. You know, and we just dominated the race. The car had so much speed. Also a milestone, you know, with the 43rd victory to break the tie with Michael Andretti. To get another victory that quick in the season, right after Detroit, you know, really put in an anchor of saying, you know, we're here to race, and we're here to try and, you know, win this championship.
The top two in the championship on the front row, IndyCar racing in Canada. Let's do it. Dixon's trying to go around the outside in turn 3. That's the long way, that's the hard way.
They're not raising the tires.
We're going to get a full course yellow because of that incident.
It's going to be really treacherous on this restart.
Oh, like nuts in the wall.
Hit the wall hard.
This is Scott Dixon on a hot day in Toronto. The Iceman has prevailed.
There we go, boys. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Scott Dixon almost doubles his championship lead.
Joseph, you know, got a little excited on the restart there, hit the wall, we took the lead and never looked back. You know, the car had huge speed that weekend, and you know, to grab the third win in the championship, it's a good little bag of points that we were definitely racking up there, and the championship lead started to gain some momentum. It was not an easy process for the remaining races of the season. You know, Mid-Ohio, which was one we always banked on, was a rough weekend.
Oh, no, don't do that. There's the red flag.
This is disastrous for Scott Dixon because now the time's stopped and Scott Dixon is in 10th place.
Some of the other races were, you know, okay, but nothing exceptional. You know, I think qualifying again was our biggest problem.
Not the way the championship leader wanted to qualify here at Pocono, as the checkered flag comes out and he drops to 13th.
Rossi and Andretti had been taking points away from us, you know, over a 3-4, you know, race period. What was 60-something was now down to like 26. And then we're going to Portland, and Portland, oh, you know, I think that for us is probably the exception to the championship.
IndyCar racing is back in the Pacific Northwest.
Oh no! Greg Dixon's in the middle of that.
Let's go fast day, qualifying for the Verizon IndyCar Series race here in Portland.
Dixon, who's got a flyer going, jumps up to P2.
Portland was frustrating too. You know, Q1 went well. We were first or second. Q2, Joseph came out of the pits on our first time lap, kind of gapped him. So we lost that lap, and then I messed up the second lap. And by that time, you know, for us at least, the tires were shot.
Time to get back to business, top 12. The championship leader at the moment is on the outside looking in.
Disaster for Scott Dixon. He's almost 2/10 off the transfer position. Dixon will start 11th.
And then you know, starting in the mid-pack, you know, it's such a, you know, fierce race. You know, you're coming down the last, second to last race of the championship. That's definitely not where you want to be starting.
IndyCar racing is back in the Pacific Northwest. Will everybody get through is the question to be answered.
Where will they come out? Oh, no! Greg Dixon's in the middle of that. Car upside down, and Andretti, I think.
This could be the defining moment in the championship. Scott Dixon is in the middle.
Oh, here he goes.
Dixon's going.
How does he keep his car running? Look at this. Dixon with minimal damage.
What a lucky escape. Takuma Sato wins on IndyCar's return to the Northwest. Perhaps shadowing everything is Scott Dixon in 5th and will leave with the championship lead.
Green flag flies, you know, everything seems pretty good. Everybody's, you know, find a spot, get through, you know, which everybody thought was going to be the crash, was going to be in turn 1. And, you know, come out of 1, and I look ahead and I'm like, uh-oh, here we go. I remember just trying to stop, you know, I kind of get hit from behind. Then I'm off the track, I'm in the dirt, in the grass, and then I can't see anything. I pull the clutch, and then, you know, just sitting in this blackout from all the dirt. And I'm like, oh, there's no way this car is going to be, you know, drivable. This could be where we start to lose the championship. Dust kind of clears, and I can see I've got a left front tire, I've got a right front tire. I kind of look in the mirror, and I'm like, well, you know, it doesn't look too bad. You know, look beside and behind to see if I can get out of there. You know, select reverse, you know, sort of back up a bit. I'm like, this is okay. Then I asked the safety crew to move the truck that they had parked in my way, and hit first gear and pull right out of there, man. It was like, oh, it was crazy. That was one of the biggest races of this championship year for sure. A 5th place finish after a day that we thought we were going to be probably 24th or 25th. Having a 2-week break was not what I wanted. We wanted to go straight to Sonoma, you know, from Portland and just either way get it over with because, you know, the suspense, you know, is tough. Emma and I had the weekend off, right? So it was Tilly's birthday. We piled up a van full of 8 7-year-olds. We went to American Girl in Chicago, just Emma and I looking after, you know, 8 kids. It was a fun little getaway with her and her school friends that took my mind off, you know, thinking about the race coming up, and it was a nice distraction.
Sonoma Raceway in Northern California is the site for the championship finale in the 2018 Verizon IndyCar Series.
The race days are busy, right? You know, so there's lots of things to distract you, whether it's, you know, media requirements or, you know, sponsor requirements. You know, you're kind of running around a little bit. Typically, I kind of take a nap before the race, but I didn't take a nap. You know, I felt, you know, like not at ease. You just start having these things rolling through your head of what could go wrong.
Do you know what? I actually was a nervous wreck up until about 2 days ago, and now it really is just another race. I believe that whoever wins today, it was their day, and it was meant to be.
I'm nervous.
You are nervous? Yeah.
I'm okay, but a little nervous.
What did Daddy say though? He said ice cream if he wins.
Most of all, Lord, keep him safe today. It's in Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Have a good run.
Good luck, Dave. Fun out there. Have a good one, man. Have a good one, bro.
How about a round of applause?
Try and win the race. You know, good one, all right? Yeah, you too.
Scotty D! Scott Dixon!
Hey, Dick.
What's up, mate?
Have a good day. You know what to do.
That's right, mate.
Bring it home. Thank you for everything you've done for Honda.
Hey, thank you, man.
Ready to get things going to see if Scott Dixon can win a 5th championship. Ready to get this championship finale underway.
Green, green, green.
RHR on the pole, the points leader Dixon on the outside. Hunter Ray gets a good start.
Oh, it looks like there was contact there.
Rossi's got smoke coming from the car.
Front wing is broke. Copy that. All right, well, we'll plug in and get some fuel and we'll do this.
Championship contender Alexander Rossi in that yellow and blue Honda, the Napa car. Troubles on the opening lap. There was smoke from the right front. He's got damage on that front wing, and he is ailing.
Right front tire, too, guys.
I think he had contact in turn 1 with Marco Andretti. Front wing is damaged and a flat tire.
Total disaster for Alexander Rossi. He'll have to come to pit lane.
The story could not be any worse for Alexander Rossi.
I wasn't aware of, you know, Rossi's incident until probably about turn 6. The carousel team comes on the radio. Hey, there was, you know, a crash in turn 2.
Watch for Rossi coming out 7, broken wing.
Riding with the championship leader, his quest for a 5th title just got a whole lot better and easier.
And a huge sigh of relief for Dixon.
At that point, you're like, okay, is this going to be an easier day? Or you're thinking about it, or, you know, is this an opportunity for them to go to a very different strategy?
Rossi hits his mark. They'll change the front wing assembly. They'll change tires. And then Rob Edwards told him, just get back to the program. As always, Alexander Rossi calm, but the championship in the opening corner takes a major twist.
Suspension look okay?
You're thinking, well, they stay on the lead lap. You know, anything can happen. It's a very long race. We've got 85 laps.
Well, that didn't go very well.
Do they go full bore here and put a 4-stopper in to where you have fresh tires and gain ground? Or do you go the opposite direction, save some fuel, and hope for a caution?
20 more to go. Keep looking after your tires. Same pace as the leader. Keep working on your plan.
Rossi is on attack mode now. He's in 20th position and trying to make up ground.
Pit, pit, pit. Copy, pit.
He just lost so much track time that even after everybody else had pitted, he only made it back to the 20th position. So may go a lap down here as they go to the Firestone sticker blacks. Indeed, there goes Ryan Hunter-Reay, and Alexander Rossi will leave leave the pit lane with Scott Dixon right in front of him.
Alexander Rossi all over the back of Dixon here.
You don't want to give it up easy, and you know, so we raced him pretty hard for about 4 or 5 laps, and ultimately there was a couple of close moments.
He'll dive to the inside. Boy, Dixon doesn't give him any room, and Rossi had to lock up the front tires, exiting turn 7.
And the team were like, hey, just let him go.
Rossi gets around Dixon on the racetrack.
We got him. Yeah. Good job. Get up to Ryan, and then we'll make sure that you get by there so we can get our lap back. Let him back on the lead lap. He'll use his push to pass. Do not give him a fight. We need to be in front of 28 because if there's a yellow, we're hosed. Ryan came back on us. What are you doing? Not letting you by. They're pitting.
Ryan Hunter-Reay not willing to give up the lead right there, and that's because he was getting ready to pit. Rob Edwards said, well, that wasn't what we discussed, but that was the situation there. Really good stop for Ryan Hunter-Reay, Jan. And it's a good stop for Scott Dixon as well.
You just start thinking of the opportunity that we had at Portland, where it flipped the field. You know, you can have a caution come out. They've got cars that could possibly help him to do that, and you know, that's what's going through your mind.
Held up. Held up. Okay, then we may as well come, right? We would come out right in front of Ryan. Yep. Pit, pit. Go, go. Clear out, clear out. Full course yellow. Perfect timing.
Rossi just hit the jackpot.
His saving grace was going to be catching, you know, that lucky yellow that all of, you know, the other cars that hadn't pitted needed to.
This is like the California Super Lotto for Alexander Rossi. Unbelievable timing.
He has managed to get back on the lead lap. He's at the back of the field. He did just come in and top off. They just talked to Hunter-Reay on his radio, and they just said to him, don't let Dixon by for any reason at all.
It's a team sport, and you know, I've been in situations where I could help a teammate. You know, how big that could be, it is tenfold, right? You hope that it doesn't come to that, but it's a big possibility.
Here comes Rossi again, the great run on Pato Award.
Just making a move on feet.
Looking very fast here.
Good job. Keep focusing forward.
Be patient. No, he goes for it.
Beating and banging on each other.
Oh,
no, he's not. He's going in.
Whoa.
Contact. Watch this. Down the inside.
Whoa. So does this move. Alexander Rossi is up to 9th.
He's got to run.
Oh, look at Kanan.
He waved him by.
That's huge for Rossi to get by Jones.
He was racing for keeps, man, and was you know, pulling off moves and passing a ton of people, which was great for the race.
Rossi's making his way through the field. We're good.
Alexander Rossi runs in 5th place, some 8 seconds behind title rival Scott Dixon.
I think on our front, not a whole lot of stress. You know, he did an amazing job, and you know, but it still takes a lot to get, you know, through those last few people, and still at that point, you know, we're sitting in 2nd. He'd have to win the race, you know, to have any kind of opportunity.
And with 11 laps to go, his quest for a championship is becoming increasingly difficult.
Hunter-Reay's in a bit of a traffic scrum up there. We got 1 to go.
To then come out of turn 11, see the straight, see the checkered flag.
Ryan Hunter-Reay wins the Grand Prix of Sonoma, but we witness something that hasn't been done in more than half a century. Scott Dixon is a 5-time IndyCar champion.
It was just a big breath, a big weight lifted off your shoulders. It was okay. You were done. We were done with the championship. It was the end of such a mind-blowing, you know, 4 or 5 weeks of stress and being able to just take that breath. It still feels very surreal right now that we're standing here in this situation. You know, I think going through these, you know, races and championships, you know, the whole night, you're just night before, weeks before, you're just thinking about how it can go wrong and the possibilities, you know, especially at my stage of my career. I've seen it all, you know, so you only remember the bad stuff. Rossi's done a great job all year, man. Like, he's been super fast, and
he's going to be a guy you're going to have to be dealing with for years to come now.
Absolutely. So. He's going to win some championships. Yeah. Dude, nice job. Nice job.
Awesome.
You guys are fast, man.
5-time champ. It's crazy. Unbelievable.
Lucky.
So cool.
5-time. Give yourself love. Congrats, man. Thanks, bud. Thank you. I appreciate it. Thanks, buddy. Thanks, man. Thanks, Will.
I was having the happy shakes, you know. I was like, I can't stop shaking. And then I wanted to cry because I'm like, I can't believe he's done it.
So special to be there with, you know, Poppy and Tilly, and you know, it was the first time we'd celebrated a championship as a family.
Everyone put their 5s up.
I know, you did really good on the helmet.
This is the one we're going to buy ice cream.
Oh, we're going to buy ice cream now, aren't we? Yeah, I said this morning if we win the race, we'll get some ice cream.
We're going to get some ice cream.
I knew you wouldn't let that one go. Poppy's like, oh, you know, what can we get if we win the championship? And I'm like, what do you mean? And she's like, well, you know, do you think I could get a hoverboard? And Tilly's like, do you think I could get a, you know, a pony? I'm like, wow. No, and I said, I'll get you guys an ice cream. And that was the thing, right? When I saw them, they're like, so we get ice cream tonight? I'm like, yes, you guys, we'll get some ice cream, don't worry.
Let's welcome Scott Dixon.
For me, it was just so cool to walk out on stage with them, you know, with Emma, Poppy, and Tilly. It was the best part.
Oh, that was easy.
We're number 6 next year. He stage dived again, and he always does it front ways too, which I think you meant to go on your back. Yeah, so I was a little worried because I wasn't sure. It looked like some of those people there were a little apprehensive to actually if they were going to catch him. That's Chip, man. He loves winning. I think it's adrenaline and nerves and everything still running on it. It's crazy, crazy. I still can't believe it. I still can't believe we've won 5 championships. Nuts, nuts.
The 2018 Verizon IndyCar Series season was yet another year of great competition. Congratulations to the following award winners. The Verizon P1 Season Award goes to Joseph Newgarden. This season, Newgarden started from the pole in 4 races.
Pole position. Boom! Good job, guys.
Finished in the top 10 14 times, and earned a total of 151 points in races he started from the pole position.
Well done, Paul. You are on pole for your first IndyCar race.
Everybody knows his name now.
It's been a very impressive rookie season.
Schmidt-Peterson Motorsports' Robert Wickens wins the Sunoco Rookie of the Year award, finishing 11th in the overall IndyCar point standings. The entire IndyCar family wishes you the best, Robert, in your continuing recovery. The Sunoco Diamond Performance Award is given each season to the driver with the most race wins. 4 drivers each had 3 wins in 2018. So, via the tiebreaker of most points, Scott Dixon wins this year for his victories in Detroit, Texas, and Toronto.
The Iceman has prevailed. Scott Dixon wins on the streets of Toronto for the 3rd time.
Graham Rahal wins the Tag Heuer Don't Crack Under Pressure Award. The Rahal Letterman Lanigan driver advanced 91 positions in races during the 2018 season and also finished 8th in the point standings. For the first time since engine competition resumed in 2012, Honda wins the IndyCar Manufacturer Award. Honda won a total of 11 races and 8 poles this season. Jay Fry, IndyCar's president of competition and operations, presented the Manufacturer Award to President of Honda Performance Development, Art St. Cyr, following the season-ending race in Sonoma.
This is a testament to all the hard work, to all the men and women at Honda Performance Development, but also all of our partner teams that have raced the car so well. So we're really proud to have this.
Scott Dixon is a 5-time IndyCar champion.
And the Champions Ring, presented by Jostens, goes to Scott Dixon, the 2018 Verizon IndyCar Series champion. Congratulations to all of these award winners.
Having this opportunity is so big in its own right that I want to, if I'm one of the few that gets the chance to do it, I want to make the most of it. I want to try and win as much as I can.
He has that relentless just hunger to compete, to win. That hunger is still there as much today, I think, as it was the first time I met him.
I come from a country, New Zealand, that has, I think, the most successful sports team ever, and that's the All Blacks. And so I guess, you know, the winning is a natural thing for that country. But for me, it's all we ever do, right? We're in the business of winning. If I'm not winning, I'm going to be out of a job before I know it. So, you know, this probably gives me some security, but I want to win, man. I want to win.
I've been watching Scott Dixon for many, many years, obviously. And there's no question that he definitely fits the profile of a champion. I mean, he's a money driver, he's reliable, and he's all around. I mean, he's fast everywhere. The record speaks for itself, and he's going for all-time records.
You know, I'm sure someday we'll sit back and be talking about it and say, boy, we were right in the middle of that, and tasting it every week, and we didn't even know what we had. But the fact of the matter is, it's history every single time he gets in the car now.
We're going to go into next year. We're going to set 2 goals, try and win the Indianapolis 500, and try and win, the 2019 IndyCar Series. This is my 17th season, and right now I couldn't imagine being anywhere else. And to top it off, through those ups and downs of that middle part of the season with a championship is huge. First championship's a big deal. It's only one person has ever done it. And to fall into that category and be the second only person to ever do it. Yeah, it feels great, man. It feels so damn good. I'm not gonna lie. It's 5 just sounds so much better than 4. I don't know why it's only 1 different, but it's mega. It's awesome.